Hi everybody and welcome back. Today we're talking about long hauler syndrome. So basically post-COVID syndrome, these symptoms that some people are having ongoing after they had that acute COVID infection. And in specific, we're going to be talking about whether something like the autoimmune diet protocol could help. And why are we talking about this? It's because, researchers don't totally understand what's happening in post-COVID syndrome yet. However, what I'm hearing is that some individuals and some doctors are recommending the autoimmune protocol, and some individuals are having a lot of great success with it. And one in specific told me that it's the thing that has helped them the most. And so I think this is really encouraging, and I want to explain why this might be helping, and then explain to you what it even is in case you or somebody you know is struggling with long hauler syndrome and wants to try some nutrition interventions. And it's not being talked about as much as I wish it would be, and that's partially because most doctors have less than 20 hours of schooling in nutrition science, so most of them just aren't as familiar with using nutrition interventions for something that seems to be an autoimmune reaction. So about 10% of individuals who have had COVID are struggling with long hauler syndrome, and these symptoms include everything from ongoing breathing difficulty and shortness of breath, to muscle and joint aches and pains, to fatigue to the point where some people are having to quit their jobs and they're almost bedbound, to headaches and hair loss and brain fog. And with autoimmunity, which we deal a lot with in our digestive clinic and in functional medicine in general, everybody's so different, and the symptoms can really manifest differently for different people. And so I'm Ashley Oswald, registered dietitian and founder of Oswald Digestive Clinic, where we help people improve and eliminate bothersome gut issues like gas, bloat, diarrhea, and or constipation. You can work with us one of two ways. You can schedule a free gut health call if you want to consider working with us one-on-one, or you can join our Heal Your Gut course, which both of those links are below. So without further ado, let's dive right in and talk more about long hauler syndrome and the possibility of the autoimmune protocol being able to help you. So while we still don't fully understand long haulers, there are three theories that I see. The first one is, and this seems to be the most popular one, is that despite not having the acute infection anymore, the immune system is still subtly reacting and causing this low-grade inflammation. So kind of like this ongoing autoimmune reaction despite being out of that acute infectious period, which we know does happen. And oftentimes it's kind of like there's these processes going on, and then there's this acute trigger that then causes ongoing issues in autoimmunity. We see it with acute stress triggering autoimmune issues in individuals even before this COVID era. So this certainly makes sense. There's another theory that there might be a low-grade viral infection still going on in the body. And then the last one is that acute viral period caused damage to the lungs and might be more permanent damage, causing ongoing breathing and shortness of breath issues. So what's being done to try to help individuals struggling with post-COVID syndrome is basically doctors are just trying medication cocktails, so different medication combinations to try to chase symptoms, health symptoms. But there are post-COVID clinics popping up, and really what stage we're at right now is just trying to better understand what's going on. So where does the autoimmune protocol come into play, and why might this help? You might have seen one of our recent YouTube videos where I talked about this research coming out about how it might be individuals who have increased intestinal permeability that are having the most severe cases of COVID, because we know there's this gut-lung connection. And I talked about this in our asthma YouTube video as well, where when pneumonia was exposed to the lungs, it actually caused increased intestinal permeability in these animal models. And this again is done through the asthma research, but it makes total sense that this would then happen with this COVID virus, where despite that acute reaction being maybe 1, 2 weeks, 4 weeks of recovery, now an individual has increased intestinal permeability because of that gut-lung connection. And then that's where some of these autoimmune symptoms might be coming from, because the gut is supposed to be semi-permeable to, of course, allow food to be absorbed into the bloodstream. But if it gets to be too permeable, the body might be overreacting to different foods that are coming through that triggers mediator release, and mediator release can cause symptoms in the body, thus causing these all over autoimmune symptoms. And so to kind of really back up and think about root causes, something that we really should be considering first is food. 70% of the immune system is in the gut. If the main theory is that post-COVID syndrome is an autoimmune issue, then food and nutrition should be a really big component to the conversation that is being had. And I'll remind you, most doctors have less than 20 hours of schooling in nutrition, and that is likely why it's not being talked about nearly as much as it should be right now, in my experience and opinion from having 7 years of schooling in nutrition science. Okay, so what would I recommend you do, or somebody you know does, if you are struggling with post-COVID syndrome? The first thing I would do is trial an elimination and reintroduction eating plan that removes most of the common food sensitivity triggers for autoimmune issues. So the autoimmune protocol certainly is one option, and what that is you'd basically be eating fruit, veggies, proteins, and healthy fats only. So it eliminates things like no grains, no dairy, no eggs, no nuts, seeds, legumes, and it's really the whole kind of idea and purpose is to eat the least likely reactant foods, so the foods that most people don't have autoimmune triggers to. Do that for a period of time and see if the symptoms improve. If the symptoms improve, that's really good information for you to tell you that yes, there is likely something going on in the gut that's contributing to your symptoms, and then we can dig further, and then we can say, this person's reacting to all these foods. What could we do about improving the health of their gut to decrease the number of food sensitivities they have, which we help with a lot in our clinic. We help to expand eating plans by improving gut health so that tolerance is improved. Now, if the autoimmune protocol sounds intimidating to you, it might be that starting with something like gluten and dairy-free could be as effective. We just don't know yet, because of course we don't have robust research on this yet, but it would certainly be, in my professional experience, a good starting point. And what we always have to do in these situations where we don't have a ton of information yet is weigh the potential benefits to the potential risks. And something like a food elimination reintroduction for most people is going to have more likely potential benefits than the potential risk. So for individuals that we wouldn't recommend this, somebody going through and trying to recover from a eating disorder or et cetera, but for most individuals, this is going to be an appropriate thing to trial. So how long would you want to do this elimination protocol for? The recommendation is 3 weeks to 3 months, and that is science-based because this autoimmune reaction that can be triggered by food, so there's something called IgG, these immunoglobulins, and they have a half-life of about 21 days. So from the body getting triggered by a food, and then 21 days is the half-life of these immunoglobulins triggering symptoms in the body, and it typically takes about 2 to 3 half-lives for that full autoimmune reaction to kind of calm down in the body. And what does that leave us with? Well, 21 days of a half-life, 2 to 3 cycles. It puts us at about 3 months. But for most people, they're going to notice, if this is one of the root causes, they're going to notice benefits after just 1 month. So what I really recommend you consider if you're going to try this autoimmune protocol is to set aside 1 month, and then if you're noticing benefits after the 1 month mark, consider going for 3 months, see how you feel at that point, and then consider reintroduction. And I would highly recommend working with a functional medicine clinic, a functional nutrition dietitian on this and on potential other things that could be contributing to your symptoms. So some people with long hauler syndrome, they actually have days where they don't have any symptoms. That's really interesting, right? And if you're like this or somebody you know is like this, I would highly recommend thinking about what change to the lifestyle, change to the eating happened before those days were symptoms completely resolved, because we want to always think about what might be the cause and effect. And there is some discussion around whether chronic stress from A, having COVID, or from B, just everything going on in the world around COVID, how much that chronic stress might be triggering this autoimmune reaction as well. And it might be for some people have maybe this post-viral triggers, and then maybe even have like some stress triggers. And again, in functional nutrition, we deal with this a lot, where there's a lot of possible root causes, and the body's a whole, right? So we have to look at everything holistically, lifestyle, nutrition, etc. But I want you to be aware that stress might be playing a role in here as well, and it might even be playing a role in roundabout ways. So when the body is under chronic stress, it will use up more of certain nutrients like magnesium, like B vitamins, and low magnesium can cause headaches. So maybe some individuals' headaches from post-COVID syndrome are from a nutrient deficiency, and then low B vitamins that again get depleted during stress can cause fatigue, and they're water soluble. So it's another easy intervention to trial, a nutrient powder. Again, not, I can't possibly know your medical history, so this isn't a recommendation, but work with your main healthcare provider, and it would be something to consider a really good quality multivitamin with mineral, and see if you just notice any benefit. And if you do notice some slight increase in energy, then that would be something to think about and pursue. Like, maybe are my nutrient statuses low, contributing to some of this post-COVID syndrome. So I hope this was helpful and insightful to you. Please share this with anybody you know who's struggling with post-COVID syndrome. And just to sum it up, the number one thing I would suggest is doing an autoimmune protocol or gluten dairy free. If you're in our Heal Your Gut course, we have tons of resources in there for you to help you get started and be successful. Be considering nutrient status, stress, and other potential causes of some of these post-COVID syndrome. And then C, working with a functional medicine clinic, functional nutrition provider, because honestly, these are just things that we see a lot in the functional nutrition space that, from my experience, the conventional medical system isn't as great at helping with. And what I mean is these autoimmune types, chronic disease states. So I think it's really important to pursue and look at both avenues, conventional and functional, because I can almost guarantee that you're going to be missing some of those nutrition pieces if you're just looking at the conventional route to try to find answers for this post-COVID syndrome. So I want to thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the bell next to the subscribe button so that you're notified of new videos that we post every Tuesday at 10 a.m. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next week, Tuesday.